Alright, I believe there is a boss in the next room. Usually whenever there's a big door like this, that's what that means. What kind of boss could it be? Well, maybe not. Maybe I am just crazy. There we go. Alarm clock guy again. It is 12 AM. Full recover! Except this is not actually a full recover. Alarm clock bosses just make me think of the one boss in Super Mario RPG who says full recovery and then doesn't actually fully recover. And then also takes a turn to do nothing, which is great for the player, but not so much for the boss. Now here's the first instance of a big, juicy, wonderful-looking switch that is optional to hit. And I like the way that you find the secrets in this game. Because usually you just have to find a door in a special hidden location. And I always feel like I'm being so clever whenever I find that one suspicious-looking spot, and then I press up, and then it's the right spot. Also, probably worth mentioning that all the areas in this game are based on food. Not really based on food, but named on food. Their names are written on top of food. See that? Maxim Tomato has an M on it. Like Mario's name was written on his overalls. To enter Twilight Town. Not to be confused with Twilight Town and Kingdom Hearts, which is a series that I have very little knowledge of, and I don't really plan on changing that anytime soon. Somehow it just doesn't appeal to me the same as it does other people, I guess. But maybe if I tried it I would change my mind, I don't know. Now the butter building is kind of cool. I think it's the butter building. I mean, I know that that's the area that we're in right now, but I don't remember if this is the right world or not. There is a world where the entire set of levels is all just vertically ascending, and then eventually you get to the very top of the tower, and that's where the boss fight is. And this is kind of feeling like that right now, because these are, for the most part, vertically ascending levels. Have I mentioned how cute Kirby is? I feel like Kirby is cuter in Dreamland 3 because of the art style in that one, but I do like the art style of this one. And I think it's kind of weird that there hasn't been a Kirby game yet where they use 2D graphics but make Kirby perfectly round. Because, like, Kirby's round in this game, but he's sprited, so you can see the square pixels that make up his character. And I feel like Kirby being perfectly round, it would be a good opportunity for them to use, like, hand-drawn graphics. I think that would be cool. Of course, I'm also waiting for just a 3D Kirby game. We haven't had one of those yet, and that would be great. Probably. I mean, the Kirby games work just fine in 2D, and I'm not talking about 2.5D like 64 was. I'm talking specifically like an entire 3D world to explore in 3 dimensions. I'm not sure why we haven't had one of those yet. Closest we've come is Kirby Air Ride, whenever you get off the vehicle in City Trial, and that's rather underutilized. This is probably one of my least favorite bosses. It goes by a little bit slowly, and it's easier to get hit. And then the power-up that you get from it is not all that special, at least not to me. I don't like the melee powers as much. And by melee, I mean melee attack powers, not melee as in the game Smash Bros. Melee. They just feel a little bit off to me. Although I didn't know you could do that. Just catching the swords in midair, that's pretty awesome. Nice hardcore Kill Bill Kirby. Yeah, okay, this is the world that I was thinking of, where you just keep going up. Everything's on the up and up. Fine. You want the door? I get the door. Why does it seem like I'm trying to raise a delusional furball? That's not the exact line. Oh well. Anytime I quote anything, it's probably Monsters, Inc. I think these rooms are kind of weird. The rooms where it just starts out white, and then the clouds fade away, and then a door appears. Because that's the only thing that prompts the door appearing, is just waiting a few seconds. And I don't really see what the point is. There's a Maxim tomato that I would really like. I would like that juicy, voluptuous tomato. Of course, I don't really know if I like tomatoes in real life very much, and I did not expect those spikes to be there. Probably should have seen that coming, but I didn't. Because I'm stupid! There we go. I know that I like ketchup in real life. Definitely a fan of ketchup. But tomatoes, I don't know. I recently discovered that I'm not completely opposed to pickles. I always would take the pickles off of like chicken sandwiches and things. And then I would kind of be annoyed whenever the pickle taste was still on there, even though the pickles were taken off. Just eating them on their own, I think they're just fine. They're very pickly. And if I didn't say that I liked pickles, I would be in a pickle. And I would be okay with that, because then I would just eat my way out. Well, we already established before that this kind of section is easier whenever you don't have a power-up, but I'm choosing to ignore my own advice here and use the sword instead. Although the sword seems to be, well, pretty effective for the most part. Yeah, it's kind of hard to think of things to say over a game like this, because I'm enjoying myself, but that is one of the things about Kirby, which is, how many times have I said that? It's just very simple. Kirby games are very simple feeling. It doesn't feel like all the levels stand out and are unique from one another. Which is something that I can say differently for, again, Dreamland 3. I mean, technically I think that Dreamland 3 was made after Kirby's Adventure, and even though this was made after Dreamland 3, it's a remake of a game that came beforehand, so... Also, I'm not really sure... I guess that you only get this by inhaling, but I'm not inhaling right now. I don't really get Kirby's respiratory system. Because, like, Kirby doesn't need to breathe underwater, and that's made clear with 64, where he doesn't have a snorkel or anything, but then in most games he has a snorkel, and maybe that's just because it looks cute. And then in Dreamland 3 he blows bubbles, and in other games he blows water, like a spout. And then he can inhale forever, but in certain games he can't. And then in Mass Effect, or not Mass Effect, that would be the most unusual Kirby game. In Mass Attack there's an air meter for all of the Kirbys, and then it increases whenever there are more Kirbys, which of course makes sense. Like, you know, if you were riding one horse, that would totally not be as fast as riding 2 horses. Whatever. Now, I don't know if this is apparent, but I am going for 100% with this. Because I don't think it's too terribly difficult. It's difficult sometimes. It can be quite an issue with certain levels. Just because of that darn Chaos Emerald. No, just the blocks that can only be broken with the hammer. Unless there's some other power-up that I'm missing, but I'm pretty sure whenever I first played this game I tried everything. Sword power-up is one of my favorites. Just because it's so very evidently Link. And then in Robobot, which I have not played, but I've seen that it has a power-up that's very obviously just Ness. It's not called the Ness power-up, but that's exactly what it is. Boing. Alright, is there a switch in here? Darn it. You have fooled me for the last time. There's a switch. I mean, I don't know whether to call it a switch or a button. Because it seems like button is a word that's used to describe a thing that you push, and then lever is described as a thing that you pull, just a stick that you pull down, and then a switch can be either one of those. At least it feels like it can be. Here's a room that I could probably light up. I haven't bothered to light it up in other playthroughs, but I guess I might as well this time so that people can see what I'm doing. You don't really need to see where you're going, because it's not like a big maze to get through this room. I must say I prefer the Angel power-up in other games, as opposed to just the light one in this one that only has one purpose, and it's to light up a room. But then the Angel ones in other games, you can fly around and shoot a little bow and arrow, and it's cute. And you can pretend that Kirby is dead. For fun, I'm gonna try to inhale this guy. And it is the scariest thing. Didn't know he exploded. That's something I forgot about. Okay. Do I want more lives, or do I want health? Because I don't think I'm gonna be using these 21 lives anytime soon. Not most of them. Should I beat this all in one sitting? I guess I could. Because I'm already about halfway through, except the second half of the game is more crazy with its secrets. This would be a good time to have the freeze power-up. Because it just completely decimates this boss. Then again, it looks like the high jump was going to do a pretty good job as well. Let's try again. Just hard to get an aim. Nope. Okay, you've disappeared on me. Hey look, it's Sun and Moon, just like the newly announced Pokemon game. Because the phrase Sun and Moon did not exist before Pokemon. I like how the moon gets cracked. And then they just collide. This is what it's like when worlds collide. Are you ready to go? No. Grape Garden! Now, I know that in Return to Dreamland on the Wii, the Grape Garden music is the prettiest music ever. Because it's like piano and then other instruments, I think, thrown in, and it's just done so very delicately and magically. But I like this rendition as well, because it is the remake of the original rendition, I guess. I am not doing so well. I say that this game is relatively easy, and then I just fail miserably at it. But that's the thing, is that I fail miserably at it, and that's okay. But this is another one of those really uncharacteristic levels. Like, we had the one level earlier that had the random UFO, and now we have this little section that has random UFOs. And they can be kind of annoying, but at least they only show up one time, and if you run into one, then they don't show up again to bother you. Yeah. Don't particularly want to screw this up. Well, I screwed it up. I was on my way to the secret. And the secret in this little section is so obvious to me now, but I think I was really proud of myself whenever I first found it in my other playthrough years ago. I wonder how old I was at the time. You just go into that little red dot. Sorry, I pressed the screen because there was some dust on it, and then I forgot that that pauses the game on the silly Wii U. It's a shame that I can't really make this portable. But, well, no more portable than a controller tied to a console can be. Unless the NX changes that, but I don't really have much interest in the NX. If that's still what it's going to be called. Nintendo NX. Console mobile game hybrid. Supposedly. But enough of that political stuff. Kirby is a good series for if you just want to relax. I think that's one way to describe it. Because Mario games tend to be fun but frustrating. And then Kirby games, they can be difficult if you make them difficult. Because a lot of the time if you try to 100% a Kirby game, that definitely makes it a lot harder than it would be otherwise. And that's especially the case with, like, Kirby's Epic Yarn. Just beating that game is not difficult because you can't even die in that game. It's just a matter of getting past an obstacle, and if you don't care about 100%ing the game, then there are no consequences. But then if you're really concerned with getting a score, which is how you get 100%, then it becomes significantly harder. So, Kirby games are kind of as hard as you make them out to be. And there are some challenges, like the boss rushes in Kirby games, that are just ridiculous to me, and I don't know if I'm ever going to beat those. The boss rush in this game, definitely have not completed it. And I don't know if there's like an extra mode, where you have to beat it with 3 health instead of 6. But I hope not, because if I ever beat it, I don't want to beat it again with that kind of challenge added to it. These are probably the creatures that Game Grumps refer to as banana shoes. Because I have very banana-like shoes. Oh, would you die already?